Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell. And of course, joining me on this nice, beautiful Monday, Jason Cameron. I got to say, congratulations. You finally are back in film. It was a long, long haul that you were away from the great world of film, and you're back. I hope you're well fed now and you're happy you're finally back where you're supposed to be. How's it been going?
uh, it just feels good to be
Yeah,
back doing what you like to do. You know what I mean? Like it feels good. And it took a while to figure that part out, but I'm glad that once I have, I've gotten the reassurance that they're gonna try to get me in on these particular shows that I'm working on as much as they can.
nice.
So that's cool. And so the one show that I've worked on the most so far is Fire Country. It's a very it's a busy show, and
Yeah,
it's cool, and I the crew's great, love it.
good, good.
But the show that I worked on Sunday, The Recruit, oh man, those guys have it hard.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah,
Huh.
they're getting worked to the bone. Like,
Wow.
not lot of deadlines, not a lot of time.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm feeling for that crew, as I
Okay.
I, I even felt it on the Sunday, and so
Hmm.
I'm like, guys, whenever I need my help, whenever I can, I will definitely help you. Good
Nice.
luck.
Nice. Wow. Holy cow. That's crazy. Well, yeah, well, it's interesting to see the contrast between the two shows and right away get sort of thrown back into the fire. How long actually were you between shows? Has it been 10 months? Was it do you remember what your last day of work in 2023 was?
Like April 4th or
Okay.
5th.
Okay.
Now, till
Wow.
literally last Friday.
Okay. Unreal, hey. So
Yeah,
that's a
so I think
long
that's
stretch.
like
That's
10 months.
nine, ten
Yeah,
months, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, and it's crazy how long it ended up being for most people. Most people that I've encountered in the past week or two or month or two, actually, most people had been off 9, 10, 11 months, and
Yep, yep.
it's way too long of a stretch for most. And
Oh
so yeah,
yeah.
it seems like everybody's happier now that's kicking back in. It's not back to full
No.
speed, full steam. I think I've heard 19 productions are currently going, and usually around this time is about 30 to 35.
Right.
So there's still quite a ways to go to get it back to how it usually is, but at least most of the people I know are working and happy that they are.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Like, and it's unfortunate though, there's still a significant portion of us that aren't working,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And hopefully that will change sooner than later in the next upcoming like 4 to 5 weeks. I'm
yeah,
sure it will. But I will say this: I'm just super grateful for what I've got. Like
yeah.
I'm just grateful, man, because I'm just like, wow, man. It's even just the little things. I'm just like, yeah, I miss this. I miss this. Miss the food.
The
Oh,
food, yeah,
certainly.
I was gonna say that that's probably the biggest key thing. You probably race to set for breakfast in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, man. So I miss that, and just the people
Yeah,
camaraderie, and then
yeah,
just and also too, since I was on set today helping with like three of the outdoor sets, and just seeing the magic of film,
nice.
like, and it's like going, this is I kind of miss this too a little
Yeah,
bit,
yeah.
so it's good.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much did you miss landscaping today?
Oh, can I go negative? I'm gonna go -8.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
-8.
negative,
Okay.
-8. Yeah,
So you're not gonna start your own landscaping company anytime soon?
yeah. Oddly enough, no, no,
No.
no. I don't see that happening at any point in time. But I have still left the door open. Like I've told the guys, because it's my friend's company anyways. But I've told the supervisors, this is how it is for me. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'll let you know day to day. I'll text one guy. It's like I'll come in and I'll help him out because they help me out. So that means I'll do what I can. But
Nice.
if I'm back, and so then I'm back. And that's
Yeah.
it.
What did they said for tomorrow? Where are you going? What time are you starting?
8 in the morning out at Alder Grove again, right where I've been this entire time. So,
Okay.
and it's a huge wrap. Like
Uh,
it's probably going to be a 2-day wrap.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, man, congratulations. I'm so happy you're
Yeah.
back at it. I hope you and I can work again very soon, but it was really great news to hear
Yeah.
from you over the last few days that, yeah, you had work all the way through the weekend and
Yeah.
making good money, eating well, hanging out with the good people in film. And yeah, everything is finally come back together. That really took a while for me to wrap my head around being off that long. It was a long, long, long stretch. Well, you went back to landscaping, but I think I
Yeah.
was off 10 full solid months. So it was crazy long.
Yeah. Like, and also too, like we're not supposed to be off that long.
No,
like,
no.
like we really aren't. Like we're not supposed to be off that long. Like possibly I'll be off that long again, like when I'm, I don't know, retired. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like so, like we're just it's not supposed to be that way. I understand why the strike had to happen because it really did have to happen. And if I was in their same shoes, I would do the same thing. It
Yeah.
just sucked that it took that long.
Yeah. Brutal. Yeah. That was tough. I don't think anybody really benefited in the short term over that. And, it's going to take years to see the long-term effects of that strike helping out people, but it
Yeah.
sure did not help anybody in the short term.
No, absolutely not. It just hurt a lot of people. But you know what? As long as they now know that there's a standard and
Yeah.
the executives and the studios now know this, so that it's like, all right, well, that's the standard now.
Yeah. Which
Cool.
is nice, which is good. Yeah. At least set the standards and don't let them ever get below that again. So,
Exactly.
so were they full 12-hour days on the weekend?
Not Saturday, luckily, but Sunday too. Oh yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Sunday Sunday was full on, man, and I understood why. Because they were literally, I'm not kidding when I say this, Darren, building a set to shoot this morning.
Holy cow. Wow. Crazy.
Build, dress, set wired, like all of it. Like
Wow.
it was nuts. I was just like, oh, I think they stayed there. They had to finish it, so they stayed there till it was done.
Wow. What
Yeah.
was why weren't they in there a little sooner to get it built and prepped and dressed? Why weren't they in it any sooner? They just that was the window they had?
That's the window they had. The deadlines haven't been great from what I can overhear. And yeah,
Huh.
they're in it. They're in it tough, man. Like if
Oh,
that's the way it's gonna go for that show, oof,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's too bad. Wow. Not good to hear.
uh,
Well, I guess I didn't work as hard as you did this weekend. I ended up taking it pretty easy, especially Saturday. Not a lot of sports going on in the early part of Saturday, all the way through into the later afternoon. So took it really easy, cruised around. Actually went to the new Sports Illustrated bar that's out at UBC.
oh,
And Sports Illustrated owns a bar there. Amazingly good food. I was super impressed with the food. I didn't, they have beautiful Sports Illustrated sign out front and on the side of the building as soon as you walk in the front door. And Sports Illustrated was always my favorite magazine to read as a kid, all the way through my whole life, really. And I just thought they always had the best writers, the most amazing pictures, incredible, incredible magazine. They've fallen on some very hard times in the last little while and have had to lay off people and have had to really scale it back and I don't know how long more it's going to last, but I was kind of excited to see that this bar had opened up locally here and decided to go try it out. In the when you walk in towards the washrooms in that whole hallway in there, there was just
mhm.
tons of Sports Illustrated covers, magazines all over the walls and stuff, which was pretty awesome and cool. And yeah, I'd recommend it to most people. It's really fun place, an incredibly nice big screen with some other big screens around the room showing sports and stuff. It was fun.
Oh, that's pretty cool, man. Like, because depending on how Sports Illustrated the company goes, it might serve as nostalgia
Yeah.
because who knows if it's going to survive in the next couple of years because of the way that print media is gone, which
Yeah.
is bye bye.
Yeah, it might not. So yeah, it might be definitely a nostalgia place. So and then yesterday woke up early, went downtown and played some golf, indoor golf at a place on Broadway and Oak. You go in and you play. You tee off and you hit it against the screen, and it shoots off like you would normally play. And you can choose courses around the world to play. We ended up playing a course from Banff, and very famous course there. And me and a couple buddies ended up playing indoor golf all yesterday morning. It was pretty fun, but it didn't feel very accurate when you hit it. It seemed like it didn't go as far distance as it normally should have. A lot of times it was going off to the right or the left, and yeah, maybe some of our shots would have done that, but I don't think all of them. And there was some little things that weren't quite great, but it was fun to get together and play around, even though the weather outside wasn't terrific. So it was fun.
It's almost like you're rubbing it in. It's like, so you work all weekend, but here I am having fun. You remember what that is, Stacy? Remember fun? Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to do that. Next time I'll scale it back. Yeah, tough weekend, tough weekend. Yeah,
But
yeah, just felt like I worked to the bone the whole weekend there. Yeah,
that sounds pretty cool. That sounds like a pretty cool thing that they had going on. But it sounds like the technology is not quite there yet.
yeah.
Physical technology. So
Yeah, they need to make it a little bit better. But anyway, it was fun to get together with them. As soon as we left there, we went and had a couple pints, had some food. New place that just recently opened up called Leopold's Tavern. It's also
okay.
on Broadway. Broadway, a little bit west of Granville. So
Oh, okay.
checked out that place. You know, Earl's on Broadway there. It's just in
Yeah.
behind there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I ended up having their signature dish, which was poutine. It was chicken and waffles, maple syrup, cheese curds, a pound of, or a liter of gravy on fries, and wow, amazing, super tasty, incredible meal. I was pretty damn impressed. They have a poutine there, and it comes in some kind of punch bowl, and
Okay.
it's $60, and it's their sort of signature dish, I guess. But this was their poutine of the day and or of the week or something, and yeah, I was glad I ordered it. It sounds like that's what they're really known for.
Oh, nice. All right. That sounds really good. Sounds tasty.
Yeah, it was good. So I raced from there, raced home to watch the football, and ended up catching two fantastic games. Obviously, for you working on Sunday, you had to come home and watch them recorded, I guess, later.
Yeah.
How did that work out? Yeah, you must have been tired and trying to blast through the games before you passed out. What did you think?
I it sucked that I had to work. That's basically it. That's all I got to say about the games because the games were absolutely incredible. It sucked that I had to work. I saw some things from the games where I'm just like, I wonder why they did that, or why did they do that kind of play calling and stuff. So I don't know which game you want to touch on first, but yeah, I got
Why
some
don't we
things to say.
start with the first game first? The AFC title game between KC and Baltimore in Baltimore. Ravens came in, they were favored, they were the home team, they were number one seed going in, and they've got the probable MVP at quarterback, Lamar Jackson, and this is the team that they've assembled. Amazing defense, finally supposed to take Lamar to that promised land, put all the doubters behind him that he can't win the big games. And KC came in. Sixth straight year in the AFC Championship game, and Patrick Mahomes outduels Lamar and gets it done. Second year in a row, they're heading to the Super Bowl. 4 out of the last 5 years. This team is a dynasty, and especially if they win this Super Bowl in a couple weeks, incredible. Great game, super tight throughout, but KC was just that little bit better.
Yeah, they were, and their best players played at their best,
right,
for sure. Because Kelsey seemed like he was rejuvenated. Seemed like the Kelsey of old, man. Incredible. 11 receptions, 160 yards, touchdown. Like they needed him to play big, and he played big time.
Yeah,
big time.
Incredible. What a game. What a game from him. I think he had 11 targets, 11 catches. Like, he didn't drop one ball. Not one ball went to the side, over his head, on the ground. All targets that went to him, he caught. He looked like, the Kelsey of old. And they must have shown Taylor Swift at least 11 times.
Of course,
every time he caught that ball. Her and that entire box were celebrating like crazy. And Mahomes just utilized him and was able to, know that he had that solid weapon that he could rely on the entire game. And then Pacheco also had a great game. It gave him a lot of touches, 28 touches on the day, and he had 82 yards, had a touchdown himself, and really sustained a lot of long drives for KC. And he was very key.
Oh, yeah, he was super key. Again, I wanted to point out for Kelsey, though, he passed a record that I thought nobody would ever catch, which was Jerry Rice's receiving record in the playoffs. He now has over 151 receptions.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Incredible. Ridiculous. Yeah, I think he broke that record pretty early on, so he's pushed it, even farther past Jerry Rice. And Jerry Rice in our time was the greatest receiver, especially clutch receiver, playoff receiver of all time. And you just thought most of his records were untouchable, but Kelsey has been able to pass them and show that he's one of the greatest of all time, regardless of being a tight end or a wide receiver.
Yeah, absolutely. But the one thing that's been super impressive with the Chiefs this particular year is it's not so much their offense, it's their defense that has gotten them to the Super Bowl this year. Amazing. Their defense was nasty. There was many times I saw Lamar Jackson drop back, dancing in the pocket. Nobody was open. And he could.
Oh, you've frozen on me. How come you've frozen on me? That's strange. You're still frozen. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Couldn't find an open receiver.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, you froze on me for a bit there. You froze. So I think.
What did you hear? What'd you hear?
You just started to talk that last answer, and you just froze. So start again.
Okay. So I was just basically saying the secondary just locked down the Ravens receivers. Lamar was back there numerous times, dancing, waiting for somebody to get open, and nobody got open. Like it just didn't happen. And I was impressed, man. I'm like, wow, the Chiefs are on it.
Yeah, they've improved their defense like crazy, and they've always been known as an offensive team with just an okay defense. I think that defense has finally got up to that level that they needed to be to win Super Bowls without all the marquee talent that they've lost over the years because of the salary cap problems. And they were spectacular. The only guy that really had a great game, in my opinion, was Zay Flowers, and he ended up kind of being the GOAT, though, because he made that amazing catch over L'Jarius Sneed, stood up, taunted him, got the 15-yard penalty, shoved him back. Then they threw to him to try to get him the score, and he fumbles when L'Jarius Sneed comes back and knocks it out of his hand into the end zone. And I think Zay Flowers is one of the biggest reasons why they lost this game, because he did that taunting, and
Yep.
they tried to, they probably would have ran the ball in from there, but
Yep.
15 yards back, then Lamar ends up finding him, tries to get him to score on a reception. Legarius comes back and says, taunt you, hey, boom, and knocks it out of his hand into the end zone, turnover. Chiefs got the ball back, and Zay had a good game, but those two mistakes were huge.
Massive. And that's karma,
Yeah,
right? That's karma, man. Like, where it's just like all you have to do is just go back to the huddle.
yeah,
But he wanted to do a little bit more, and that cost him. And then when he thought he'd scored, because it was a bang, bang play, I thought he scored
right.
until you see the replay and you see Snead manage to punch the ball out just before he
Yes.
crosses the line. Like,
Yeah.
it's right there. And I'm like, that is one that was the game changer.
Yeah,
That was the play that changed the game. That was it.
The Ravens shot themselves in the foot a ton through this game, though. They took a ton of penalties. They took 8 penalties for 95 yards. KC only had 3 penalties for 30 yards. Some of those unnecessary roughness penalties were terrible. The one penalty when they tried to do an automatic offside and he just shoved the guy, another 15 yards. They really made a lot of big mistakes. Drives that could have been stopped were continued on because of roughing the passer calls. Kelsey had got hit right in the face, and he just laughed. It was Kyle Van Noy that made that mistake, another 15 yards. And I just couldn't believe all the really big mistakes they made in that department.
Yeah, frustration penalties.
Yeah.
Frustration penalties, and I think the Chiefs kind of baited them into some penalties, but you allowed yourself to get baited. That's on you.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest games. Not only do you have to play at your best, you have to be disciplined.
Yeah.
And there was a severe lack of discipline on the Ravens' part in this game.
Yeah. With Zay Flowers, do you chalk that up to being rookie? Do you think that's immaturity? Where do you place the blame on what he did at the end that really very heavily impacted that game?
It's rookie and immaturity. Yeah, absolutely. All of those things. Because John Harbaugh took him aside after that game and said, this is what you did. This was the results of what you did.
Yeah.
Probably cost us the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And Harbaugh's not going to sugarcoat that. He's going to be like, this is what you did. Now you have to accept responsibility for that. You got to own up to these men in this locker room for what you did, because you cost them a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So hopefully you learn from this and you don't do that again.
Lamar has been is probably going to be the MVP of the regular season this year. Really blew everybody's mind after having this contract holdout. A lot of struggles to finally get a contract and signed. Got into this team has been phenomenal this year, and he was one of the reasons why. But did he choke in this game? Can we put a lot of blame on him and his inability to take this team to where they should have been in the Super Bowl as the #1 seed, the best team in the league this year, quite frankly, in the league, because they beat the Niners heavily earlier. To me, they were the best team in the regular season, and they should be in the Super Bowl. Do you place a lot of blame on Lamar Jackson?
No, I don't.
No.
You want to know why? In a couple of years' time, we'll be like, oh, but he had to go against Mahomes.
Right.
Oh, well. Because we say that about Brady, and everybody else who went up against him is like, well, you went up against Brady and, didn't win.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. If the Ravens win, how much are we going to be talking about one of the greatest plays in NFL history when he throws the ball, it gets knocked up in the air, and he catches it himself and runs. Yeah. That to me was one of the coolest plays I've ever seen, and it was spectacular, but it becomes a footnote because they lost.
Absolutely. And it sucks that they lost, because if they had won, that becomes one of the greatest plays ever in playoff history.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
But since, like you said, they lost, it's now a footnote, it's lost in time. Nobody cares. So I don't blame Lamar. I
Okay.
don't blame Lamar. Like, even with the interception, I think it was an ill-advised throw. But
Triple coverage.
triple
Triple
coverage.
coverage.
Triple
So
coverage.
yeah, you don't throw there. But
No,
you said the Chiefs were blanketing every receiver
yeah.
throughout. So he had to find somebody, but that was an ill-advised pass for sure.
It was an ill-advised pass. Like you could take your shots down the field, but just not that one.
Yeah.
Just not that one, right? So, but am I going to blame Lamar for this loss? Man, because like 4 out of 5 years, the Chiefs have been to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know what that means? Dynasty. You went up against the
Dynasty.
dynasty and you lost.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
I was quite shocked at their running attack. Their running attack was the top running attack in the NFL this year, and they didn't really run the ball much. Why?
It's almost like Harbaugh just thought that they wouldn't be able to run the ball, which is just ridiculous. It's like, no, that's been your bread and butter. Like, if that's your personality of your team, that's a characteristic of your team, that's what you've done all year, and run the ball.
Yeah.
Period. Doesn't matter who you're playing against. You just don't change you just don't change the characteristics of your team for this one game. If that's what you do, then that's what you do.
Yeah.
And so I didn't that was another thing that was pretty glaring to me. I didn't understand why they just all of a sudden just abandoned the run game altogether.
It was really bizarre because like Lamar had 54 yards on the ground on 8 carries, but the rest of the entire team only had 27 yards on 8 carries. It blew me away. I was like, what are you doing? You've changed your philosophy that's worked so well. And in these games, 1 or 2 possessions is going to totally transform and change the whole game. And if you're able to get 6, 7, 8, 9-minute drives and sustain these long drives, you're keeping Mahomes off the field. You got a much better shot at winning, and they abandoned that, and it blew my mind. It blew my mind.
Yeah, it blew my mind too as well. But still, even with all of those things that we said, that the Ravens made these mistakes, they had all these penalties, they didn't run the ball, they got away from who they were. They're still 7 points away from tying this game,
Yeah.
and then possibly sending it to overtime, and then possibly winning the game. So a lot of things that Harbaugh can actually pull from this game and be like, you know what, I could have done this better. You know what, I kind of went away from the identity of our team. Maybe he should be thinking, I dictate what they should do.
Right.
Why should I change what I should do against this team? I should be dictating to them what they should do to us.
Right. Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. Crazy. Nelson Aguilar only had 1 catch, 39 yards. Don't know why they didn't throw to him more. I'm really disappointed in OBJ. Didn't have much impact at all. Only 22 yards on 3 catches. Justice Hill was, nothing on the ground at all. Had a little bit through the air, and Mark Andrews, a guy that could have played that Kelsey role. Lamar's most reliable receiver over the last couple seasons. He did have an injury coming in, so I don't know if he couldn't get open. He really wasn't out there. They weren't calling plays for him, but that's a tight end that Lamar and him have been on sync for the last few seasons, and just had no impact at all. 2 catches, 15 yards. That's tough when your top tight end just isn't producing and isn't giving you that target.
No, it's absolutely it makes the game so much harder to play. But at the same time, I don't know how healthy he was.
Yeah.
Like it seemed like he gave it what he could, and like as a decoy, so to speak. But I don't think he was 100% healthy. Not even close.
No. As I mentioned, KC's made the Super Bowl 4 of the last 5 years. This is only the third franchise team in history to do this. Buffalo Bills did it 4 years in a row, making the Super Bowl, and the New England Patriots did also make the Super Bowl 4 to the last 5 years, 6 straight AFC championships, and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and the rest of this cast, Kelsey and the boys. Wow. Does Mahomes start making you think that maybe he could be the GOAT and pass Tom Brady and all the accolades and accomplishments Brady's made? He's knocking on the door year after year after year, and at a young age, this could be his 3rd Super Bowl already.
If he wins this Super Bowl coming up, I'll consider it.
Yeah.
If he wins this 3rd one. Otherwise, I'm sorry, man. 7?
Yeah.
Trying to put that on anybody and say, all you got to do is win 7. Can't be that hard, right? Come on, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if he gets this 3rd one, I'll consider it.
Yeah.
I'll consider it.
The last 2 postseasons, the Chiefs have a 6-0 record, and 5 of those are 1-score games. So they're not blowing teams out. They're winning the close games, and in very impressive fashion that they're able to just pull them out, even though they're tough. During the regular season, Baltimore led the NFL in rush yards per game with 156.5. Their point differential was plus 227, and they scored 28.4 points per game. This game, they had 10 points, 81 rush yards, and they were -7 on their point differential. And they're going home. KC's moving on, and yeah, I'm blown away. I really thought Baltimore was going to win this before the game. I was predicting that they had finally put it together because that defense was so formidable. I thought Lamar would do enough. I thought he would protect the ball. I thought he would also run out in space enough and get a lot of those first downs when they were in challenging 3rd and 4th down positions. And yeah, the Chiefs have done it again and advanced. And yeah, you just start looking at Mahomes and thinking, wow, what a career already. This is incredible. And if he can win that 3rd Super Bowl at this early of an age, yeah, yeah, he's starting to become in the conversation as one of the greatest of all time. Maybe not Tom Brady, the greatest of all time, but as one of those top 2, 3, 4 quarterbacks of all time.
Because you could possibly argue he's already a Hall of Famer. And if he wins the 3rd, he's definitely a Hall of Famer already, right? And he's like, probably got 10 more years left still of playing, right? And which is absolutely amazing. So credit to the Chiefs, to Andy Reid, to Mahomes, to like just the organization of putting together this team. Which is just amazing.
It is amazing and impressive, and yeah, I can't wait to see if he's able to pull this off and get another win. Back-to-back. Hasn't been a back-to-back champion since the 03-04 Patriots, so 20 years we're looking at, and it's rare in football to go back-to-back, so that would be an incredible accomplishment, and yeah, can't wait for it to happen. Let's break down the second game, the NFC Championship game. And we've talked a lot about football this year, and we've actually talked a lot about games that kind of ended up like this, tale of 2 halves. One team goes out, blows the other team out. They go into the locker room, and something changes. I don't know if it's a speech. I don't know if it's a philosophy. Some momentum changes in that second half, and Detroit was scot-free. They almost just had this game. They had just absolutely put it on the Niners, and you thought, wow, this is amazing. This is shocking. Detroit's going to do it. And then San Fran turns this around. 17 points down at halftime, tied for the biggest comeback in NFC Championship history. The Niners did it in 2012 against the Falcons. We're down by 17, 128-24. And this is nuts. I was just blown away. I really thought the Lions could pull this off. But for some reason, just like the Ravens, they abandoned the run in the second half. And they made some mistakes. And the Niners pulled this off. Brock Purdy and the Niners are going to the Super Bowl. And they pulled off an incredible comeback.
They did. And Purdy showed his chops, man,
Oh.
by using his leg and extending plays, getting those key downs where he needed to. I thought he was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I thought he was absolutely amazing. And I wanted to also point out, I think it was Kendall Builder should have had an interception in the third quarter. I thought that was also a turning point. The Lions could have capitalized on that,
Right.
but it ricocheted off him, and Brandon Ayuk made an incredible play.
Yeah, that was a spectacular play. That's a play that's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. He had it in his hands, somehow missed it, hit him in the helmet, bounced up in the air. Ayuk concentration gets a touchdown the next play, I think it was. 5-yard pass. And but Ayuk, wow, amazing that he was able to concentrate enough to get that ball after it bounced off the defender like that.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely incredible. And then that's when things started to turn around really for like the 49ers right there. And their best player again played at his best, which was Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, 2
absolute
touchdowns.
monster. 20 carries, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns, another 4 receptions, 42 yards. He was awesome.
Yeah, 132 yards scrimmage, 24 touches, couple touchdowns. As always, man, he actually scored his 24th touchdown of the season there, and that broke a Niners record, which there's a lot of fantastic Niners players over the years, so that's quite the accomplishment. It's not like, some of these other teams, it's not a joke record. This is a serious record, and he was one of the biggest catalysts for the win. Purdy looked phenomenal. It's so great to see a guy that was called Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the draft, constantly beating these number 1 overall guys week after week, year after year. And if he doesn't get hurt last year in the playoffs, this might be his back-to-back Super Bowl appearance as well. And a lot of people just write this guy off. He has a bad game or two, and they're like, he's no good, not athletic enough, doesn't have the arm enough, throw shade at him. And he just keeps proving the doubters wrong and wrong and wrong again. And, you got to really give it to this young guy. He has been super impressive, and one of the main reasons why they are making a Super Bowl appearance again.
Absolutely, man. Like, yeah, he was instrumental in this win.
Yeah.
He made big plays. He made big plays when he needed to, especially in the second half. They don't do that comeback without that guy.
Yeah.
Period. So
Nick, finish your thought.
No. So yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah.
He made big plays, big throws. He was awesome.
They did a interview with Nick Bosa, who had a couple sacks in the game after the game, and they said they asked him what he thought was the turning point in the game, and he said when the Lions went for it on 4th down and we stopped them for the second time, it seemed to shift everything. And there's a lot of people blaming Dan Campbell and his coaching staff for making that decision to go for it. I thought it was a really terrible decision, and I'm not ready to kick him out of the Campbell clan, but I'm starting to wonder what the hell. You can be Riverboat Ron, you can be, the guy that always goes for it, but you got to be smart. If they go and kick that field goal, they're still up 3 scores. If you march it down and score a touchdown on that drive, it's still 3 scores. So, kick that field goal, and good chance this game's going into overtime, or you're going to keep them behind you, those 2-3 scores. And he made some really bad mistakes doing that, going for it on 4th down when they really shouldn't have.
Again, but that's like the personality of the team, because the personality of the team is taking on the coach, and that's how he coaches. That's what he does. Yeah. I understand what you're saying, but I don't know if the players in that locker room would have had it any other way.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what really matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what really matters. Do those guys have their coaches back? I absolutely think they do.
Yeah.
Would they have wanted to do it like that? I think it would have been smarter to not do that and just kick the field goal. But at the end of the day, that's kind of who the Lions are at this point in time.
I was just shocked that they went away from the run because they, in the first half, their running game was phenomenal. They were just scoring touchdowns. They were creating long drives. Montgomery ended up getting 93 yards and a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs had 45 yards and a touchdown. Jamison Williams had 42 yards on the ground and a touchdown. So their running game was phenomenal. Why would you abandon that? Why would you go away from that? That was what got them that lead and was pushing them to that victory. And they changed. They somehow went into the locker room and decided in the second half, we're going to play different. And it was shocking. Another mind-blowing thing. The Ravens screwed up by not running the ball, and the Lions screwed up by not running the ball in that second half.
Yeah, they should have kept running and you forgot a guy, Goff, another 5 carries for another 48 yards. So their running attack was lethal. They should have continued to keep running the ball. He dropped the ball on that.
Yeah.
Hopefully Dan learns from that himself because they should have continued to go with what was successful, and that was running the ball.
Yeah.
So
you're wearing out the clock. The clock's constantly going when you're running the ball, and the Niners might not have had the time they needed to, make that comeback. The Niners ended up scoring 27 straight unanswered points in that second half to, all of a sudden get a 10-point lead, and you're like, what the hell happened here? Huge fumble by Jahmyr Gibbs, sure, but that shouldn't upset all the things that he did for you. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are the first running back duo in NFL history to both have over 1,000 scrimmage yards and both have 10 plus touchdowns in a season. First running back duo in the history of the NFL to have that. And you just constantly just keep handing them the ball, giving them the ball, and they win that game. I think guaranteed they win that game if they keep that rushing attack going the same way they did.
It'd be hard to argue against that. I think you're absolutely right. It was just, I don't know what he was seeing that we didn't see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't get that. I don't understand why he went away from the running attack. He should have kept with it. But with that being said, is the Lions season, was it a waste of a season? I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, there's two things that Dan Campbell said after the game that really bothered me. One was I don't have any regrets on the decisions I made. And two was I told the entire team that it's going to be twice as hard to get back here next year. And I thought, that's not a motivating, great thing to say to my team. I'm going to be being very positive. I'm not going to say it's twice as hard. I did not like those things, and I think he handled himself kind of poorly after that game.
Okay, I looked at it a little bit differently because twice as hard, meaning that he wants his team to bear down and keep giving it as much as they can to get back to the promised land. That's the way I saw it. Because I'm sure that there must have been some positive notes that they took away from it that he must have said. There must have been some positive things he must have said because they had an incredible season. Yeah. They were at the NFC Championship game. They were on the doorstep to possibly go into the Super Bowl. They were right there.
Yeah.
Now, could he have improved upon things? Yeah, man, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to say, yeah, Dad, you're not perfect. You could have improved upon things. There's some things that you could have done that could have been better yourself. You want the team to improve? That means you also have to improve as well.
You better.
You're not perfect.
You better, yeah. Team comparison, postseason history. The Lions have been in 22 playoff games in their history, 9 wins, 0 Super Bowls. The Niners, 60 games in their postseason history, 38 wins, 8 Super Bowls, and 5 trophies. So yeah, you know, you might not get another shot, Dan, because this is the type of team that you're gonna have to face next year and the year after
You'll
and the
have to
year
win.
after. And this was your best shot. This team was phenomenal through the year and really blew everybody's mind. But once you started breaking this team down, you saw they had a lot of pieces in place, and they're not going to have the same pieces in place next year. And it's going to get harder and harder and harder to keep a solid team together. And you blew it. You blew it. You had a chance. And I do feel sorry for Detroit Lions fans. I think they started really thinking that this was it.
Yeah.
Finally, it. This is going to be where we finally break that curse and we get to go to the Super Bowl and celebrate. And they had this game. They should have won this game.
It was there. It was there for the taking. And unfortunately, they weren't the team of destiny that we all thought. Instead, it was the 49ers and Mr. Irrelevant, Brock
Yeah.
Purdy.
It's crazy, Brock Purdy, what he's done, and yeah, you got to be really impressed with how they pulled this off, and so now we've got a Super Bowl in a little less than a couple weeks here. Let's do an early prediction. What do you think happens in this game? Who do you think wins?
It's I want to say again the 49ers, but you know what? Probably gonna be wrong because they're going up against Mahomes. It's just one of those things. It's like I always want to go for the other team, but you're playing against Patrick Mahomes. I don't know, man. You know what? I'm going with the 49ers. I'm
Yeah.
going with Mr. Relevance. You heard it here first. I'm going with Brock Purdy. I'm riding. I got my Jerry Rice jersey on. I'm going with the 49ers.
Okay. 49ers. The 49ers are slight favorites over the Chiefs, -2.5 at this point. We'll see if that line moves at all, but no, I'm picking the Chiefs. They've been there. They've been able to, they've been able to be there year after year after year. The guys have experience. This is a rematch from about 4 years ago, I think it is. And there's still 10 players playing on the team that were in that game. And that's pretty remarkable. And I think Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Pacheco, their defense is just suddenly just become one of the most elite defenses in the NFL. I think the Chiefs are going to pull this off back to back.
It's you know what? Really hard to argue with it because it's the Chiefs and it's Mahomes, and that's
Yeah.
what they do. Like it's what they do. It's literally that's what we do. We
Yeah.
win. So
So yeah, can't wait. We'll break it down a little bit more next week. I have a few injury reports, and I guess we'll see if some of the guys get healthier. On the injury report, I see currently for the Chiefs, there's only one guy questionable. That's Willie Gay. He's got a neck injury. They've already ruled out 5 guys that didn't play in this game, but they will not recover in time, be able to play. This is Jerick McKinnon, Cam Jones, Nazay Johnson, Jody Forson, and Brian Cook all out, but no key injuries. Sorry, one more key injury from that game. Joe Tooney. No, let's see. No, he missed this game with a pec injury. He suffered it against the Bills in the divisional round, and they're not sure if he's going to be able to make it back. And as I said, Willie Gay is also questionable. And yeah, but we're going to break it down quite a bit. Yeah, next week as we head into Super Bowl week, which will be always fun. It's incredible how much hype goes around it. We'll be able to talk about the Usher performance. We'll be able to talk about all the aspects around the game, and I look forward to that.
No, I definitely look forward to that. Oh, and you forgot a name. I think he's just a healthy scratch, though. That would be Kadarius Toney. Remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
guy?
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
I think his days as being a chief are done.
yeah.
I don't think they're going
I
to be using him.
I actually saw that they were questioning Andy Reid today, saying that he might have violated the NFL's protocols for reporting injuries and reasons for absences for players. So there's a bit of an investigation going on. They said he had some kind of injury as well as a personal reason why he didn't play in that game. So maybe we'll get a little more information as it sort of comes out. But yeah, I think you're right. I think he's burned every bridge, and I don't think he's part of this Super Bowl team when they line up on next Sunday.
No, no, I don't think so because I think at the end of the day they can't trust him anyways.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, but we do still have some football. Well, we have some flag football coming up this Sunday. This is the Pro Bowl game happening down in Vegas. We're gonna have some pretty fun competitions. Starting on Thursday, they have the skills showdown, and they have a pretty neat whole bunch of skills that they're going to put the guys through. Did you take a look at some of the things that these guys are going to be showcasing all their skills, and the NFL is going to put on quite the spectacle for this?
Yeah, I saw some things. I saw some stuff there, and I like it. I like this new format that they've taken because it's more in the spirit of fun. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like instead of having these guys just trot out there and just do a half-assed attempt at a game.
Yeah.
Don't need to see that anymore. Don't need
No,
to see it.
no, that was embarrassing. The last game that they played there, it was terrible. It
Yeah.
was not football, and yeah, we really, don't need to see that ever again. So, well, it'd be interesting the flag football aspect. I think it kind of could be fun, could be very athletic, and we, might get to see some pretty spectacular plays. The skills showdown. They're gonna have three quarterbacks from each conference doing some precision passing, hitting as many targets as possible in a minute. The highest cumulative score moves on. They're going to have 10 different targets, and sometimes they're going to be moving robot dummies and drones and stuff. It's going to be pretty fun. Then they have another one called high stakes, where a guy's standing there. He's got a football already in his hand, and then they're going to shoot off a like a punt from a jugs machine, and then you're gonna have to try to catch it, and then you're gonna have two balls. Then they're gonna shoot another one, and you're gonna have to keep trying to see how many balls that you can catch without dropping one. They're gonna play dodgeball, four different teams with 5 players on each. The AFC offense against the NFC defense, and vice versa. And you win points for each conference, which kind of be fun. Dodgeball is always hilarious to watch.
Dodgeball's awesome, and it is a lot of fun.
They've got kick-tack-toe. Kickers complete a massive giant tic-tac-toe board, and the first kicker to get a connecting line will end up getting points for his conference. Then they've got snapshots. A long snapper in the center will showcase their skills by snapping the ball at targets of various sizes and different point values. Then they're going to have something called the best catch. They're going to have landmarks all over, and they're going to have one player from each conference showing off their creativity, their inventiveness, and their talent. And they're going to try to get probably one-handed incredible catches and cool things like that. The fans get to vote on their favorite catch, and there's going to be 6 players from each conference participating in this. And actually, I see here on notes, this is actually happening in Orlando It's not happening in Vegas, so I apologize for saying Vegas, but this will be happening in Orlando on Thursday. And then on Sunday they'll have the Pro Bowl game that starts at noon Pacific, 3 o'clock Eastern, and they're gonna have a bunch of different other things. They're having something called a gridiron gauntlet, full field relay race, 6 players from each conference. They're gonna have Madden. They're gonna have tug of war, something called move the chains. They're going to have 5 players from each team, offensive and defensive guys. They move 3,000 pounds of weights off of a massive wall, and then they pull 2,000 pounds across the finish line. And so sort of like those strongest man competitions and stuff. And yeah, anyway, sounds pretty fun. Sounds like it'll be much better than what we've seen, like you said.
Yeah, man. Like, and also too, like it sounds like they've actually put some thought into it because they realized that the product that they were trotting out there was getting worse and worse and worse. And yeah, so I like it. I hope they keep that inventiveness and that creativity, keep coming up with ideas, and they stick with those that work.
Yeah. I like that this is the All-Star Week. Pro Bowl is the All-Star game for the NFL. If you're not familiar with the NFL, but it's the All-Stars. It's called the Pro Bowl, but these are the top All-Stars in the NFL. This is also All-Star Week for the NHL, and they're holding their All-Star competition in Toronto this weekend. And there's tons of amazing activities there. I think it's going to be my favorite All-Star game in 25 years. They've really put a ton of time and effort, and they've really spruced it up to make it seem like it's going to be better than what we've seen in a very, very, very long time. So there's a lot of things that yeah, it's going to happen as well. They start on Thursday. They have a player draft that they're going to have for the teams. Then they're going to have a man of the year from the NHL alumni. Then they're going to honor the last Toronto Maple Leafs team to ever win the Stanley Cup. Do you have any idea how long it's been since the Leafs won the cup?
I'm just gonna make a guess. 50 years?
More than that, actually. 1967 is the last time. So
Awesome.
I don't know how many guys are left on this team. I don't know what kind of shape they're going to be in, but they're honoring the 1967 Maple Leafs team, the last team to hoist a cup from the Big Smoke, Toronto there. They're going to have a professional women's hockey showcase, which just started this year, a couple months back. They're going to have a 3-on-3 competition, and it's going to be pretty great. They're going to have teams from each conference, I guess, 2 teams, 12 players, 20-minute games, and it'd be nice to see them showcase the women's game, which is starting to become very popular. They're expecting about 250,000 people going through the fan experience over the 4 days there. They're also having 20 hours of free public skating on one of the local rinks there in the downtown core. And they have a fan fair at the convention center with games, experiences, photo ops with the Stanley Cup, and tons of things with alumni players and some of the All-Stars. So that's Thursday. That sounds like it's going to be pretty fun.
No, it sounds like it's awesome. It sounds like they really put together a great event.
On Friday, they're going to have the skills competition with the guys. They've got 12 All-Stars. I'll mention who they are in a second. They're competing for points in 8 different events. The most points after those 8 events that one of the players has, $1 million check. He gets a bonus $1 million check. So yeah, these guys are probably gonna compete very hard. They've got fastest skater, hardest shot, a passing challenge, a shooting challenge, one-timers, stick handling, accuracy shooting, and they go for rounds. They go from 12 down to 8, down to 6 in the final round. They're going to do some one-on-one against the goalie, puck positions on the ice, trying to shoot for targets in the net, and an obstacle course, speed, accuracy, stick handling, passing, and that will determine the winner, and give one of the guys $1 million once he's once he's declared the winner.
No, that's a bigger deal for the NHL players getting $1 million.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit of money for those
That's
guys.
pretty good. So
Yeah.
we've got let's see, 3 players from the Canucks in the skills competition out of the 12. Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, and Elias Pettersson are going to be 3 of the 12. Then we've got David Pasternak from Boston, 2 Colorado Avalanche, Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar. Then we've got 2 Oilers, Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. Then we've got Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes's brother, from the Devils, Nikita Kucherov from Tampa, Austin Matthews from the Leafs, and also William Nylander from the Leafs. So that's the top 12 guys that are competing for the skills competition.
That's pretty good skills competition. That's a great lineup, great talent.
Yeah. And then on Saturday they have the game, the All-Star Game, and they've broke it down to 4 squads of 11 players, 9 skaters and 2 goalies will compete in the games. They're breaking it down to 4 different teams. So first team has Team Matthews, which is the Leafs team, and they've got Justin Bieber as their coach. Then they've got Austin Matthews, Morgan Riley, Team McDavid, Connor McDavid, Will Arnett, the actor, and Leon Draisaitl there. And then Team McKinnon has Nathan McKinnon, Cale Makar, and Tate McRae, the singer. And Team Hughes has Jack and Quinn Hughes and Michael Bublé will be representing them as well. Okay. So this is the first time they've done 3-on-3 since 2016. So should be should be super fun as well.
Oh no, that's great. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun for sure, man. It's gonna be awesome.
Speaking of the NHL, the Vancouver Canucks are remaining in first place in the NHL standings going into this All-Star break. They had an amazing comeback victory on Saturday against the BJs. They were down 4-1 going into the third period, scored 3 goals in a quick span, tied it up, won it in overtime, and really sent the crowd home super happy. Now they get 10 days off before they have to play again. So very nice break in the middle of the season.
And are they still number 1 in the NHL?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the fans must be just elated, where it's just like, oh my God, they won again. Look at this. Like it's like they've proven that they can win in any situation now.
Yeah.
So like this is no longer like this is what the team is now.
It's not a fluke. It's not a fluke. They've played 49 games, 33-11-5. Pretty incredible. And I've been blown away by them. You think some games, they just don't have it, and they turn it on and pull out games all the time. And this is definitely one of the best teams the Canucks have ever been able to put on the ice. And they're really proving to be an elite team in the NHL, maybe the best team in the NHL, bar none.
Yeah, and I hope this bodes well for the future, because if they're this good now for this particular season compared to previous seasons and iterations of this team, oh man, then the fan base has something to be super excited about. It's like, we can be good for quite some time now. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. The the second best team in the NHL right now is the Boston Bruins, and we remember 2011. The Canucks and the Bruins faced each other. Right now, they're on a head-to-head collision course, and 13 years later, maybe resurrecting that crazy final they had in 7 games, and it would be nice to face them if they win. But it would be just so extra heartbreaking if they went up against them again and lost. But as of now, it's the odds-on favorites to win it all are Boston and Vancouver.
You know what? You know it'd be great if they did meet each other in the finals, except this time we bullied them instead of getting bullied.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be great. So yeah, as I mentioned, 10 days off. The NHL went into a really, really light schedule this week. Most of the guys are off until the All-Star break finishes. There was just one game on the schedule tonight. Ottawa beat Nashville 4-1. There's only 2 games tomorrow. St. Louis and Columbus, and Seattle and San Jose. And then there's only 3 games Wednesday. And then the All-Star break kicks in. And then there's games not until the following Monday, but the Canucks don't play again until Tuesday against Carolina, in Carolina against the Hurricanes, start of a 5-game road trip. The crazy thing about the second half of the season here is the Canucks have a 9-game homestand coming up in March, going from March the 9th all the way to March 31st. Pretty nice to have a 9-game homestand. That's kind of unprecedented. I don't remember ever seeing them have that long of a homestand. So that'll be nice for that team. They'll be able to really probably get a lot of wins, get really close with their families, and getting ready for the playoffs, which start the 3rd week of April.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful way to go into the playoffs for the Canucks. And yeah, they should be rip roaring and ready to go, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. This city's gonna be electric, and I can't wait. It's gonna be amazing. Speaking of teams that are playing really well, the Edmonton Oilers, who were just wallowing near the bottom of the standings earlier in the season, they've won 16 games in a row now, tied for the 2nd best mark in NHL history. Only the Pittsburgh Penguins of 1992-93 have better 17-game winning streak. The Oilers are off now until the end of after the All-Star break. They will play and try to break the record next week. And but 16 games in a row, these guys have been able to pull off victories, and I'm totally stunned how much they've turned this thing around, and suddenly they're super formidable. And they looked terrible early on. They fired their coach. New coach comes in there, and actually he's become sort of a front runner of maybe winning Coach of the Year. How much he's been able to turn this around, and he's almost unbeatable since he took over.
Yeah, it's like he's a magician where he's like, you know what? You guys don't stink. You're actually really good. You just need some, direction. So I'm going to give that to you.
Yeah.
Then you're going to be good again.
Yeah, I guess whatever he's done, I've been very super impressed. But the Oilers are still 12 points behind the Canucks. Oilers sit in 3rd place in the Pacific Division, and yeah, still 12 points back. So that's a pretty far margin. So Canucks have just been sustaining good play throughout. They beat the Oilers first 2 games of the year. First game was like 8-1, and the Canucks have always stayed up at the top of that conference, and the Oilers were way down. They were down by where the Sharks are, and 16 games in a row. They still haven't caught the Canucks, and might not because the Canucks have been so consistent all year.
Yeah, like the Oilers would have to, just keep winning and never lose for them to catch the Canucks.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
It probably doesn't. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
16 games in a row and 24-3 in their last 27.
Wow.
That's the only the 3rd team ever to have that great of a span in 27 games. And their goalie, Stuart Skinner, he's been incredible lately. 19-2 in his last 21 games. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, this entire team is playing just absolutely phenomenal. And it's good to see these Canadian teams doing so well. We've also got the Winnipeg Jets having a phenomenal run too. So, at least 3 of the Canadian teams are really going to be competing for a Stanley Cup this year. And it's going to be really fun to watch them throughout the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs.
Yeah, and you know what's even better? Not hearing anything about the Leafs. Awesome.
True.
Fantastic.
That's true. Yeah, I think a lot of people are happy about that. We'll hear a ton about the Leafs this week with the All-Star Game being in Toronto, and hopefully after that, we don't have to hear much about them anymore.
Yeah, no, that's it. That's what you get. You get that, and then after that, you're done. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming out.
That's it. Okay, talking about other local sports, the Vancouver Whitecaps are in the headlines quite a bit these days. They ended up putting out the single game tickets up for sale for Lionel Messi's appearance with Inter Miami later on this year. The tickets just sold out like that. Go on Marketplace to look. Cheapest tickets $250. Most expensive tickets $7,000. And so I will not be going. Unfortunately, I'll be watching it on TV like most of the people. They have sold out that game and sold a unprecedented amount of season tickets because that gets you some access to those games. And yeah, it has really taken on a life of its own. And obviously people really are chomping at the bit to see him play live. And yeah, I wasn't able to get in the lottery, wasn't able to get a ticket, and really doubt that you're going to see me there.
Yeah, that's a little pricey. I get it. He's one of the best footballers to ever play the sport. Period. But that's a little too pricey for my blood too.
Yeah,
I'll see him on the TV.
yeah. The Whitecaps do play a friendly tomorrow. It's 5 a.m. They're playing a game against a team called Haugesund. Don't know anything about those guys. Then they play February 7th and February 14th against a Mexican team called the Tigres. And yeah, those are their next 3 games they're playing. And it should be yeah, fun to start watching them. I really wish that they hadn't sold out the tickets that fast and yeah, there was going to be an opportunity for us to go, but I'm just I can't justify spending $1,000 or $5,000 on one game. It's just not worth it to me. It'll be fun to be there, but he might not even play is the other thing. Like,
Oh,
yeah, he might not even play. Like, there's been times where when David Beckham joined the LA Galaxy and people were racing to get tickets and they bought him, months out. And then when the game came, he didn't even show up. He didn't even play in that game. So there is that real possibility. I think he's pretty aware of the fact that all these games are selling out because of him, and so he might make that extra effort to make that appearance, but he could be injured. He's getting up there in age, soccer player age, and he might be nursing an injury and just not make an appearance. So there's always that risk there with soccer.
yeah. It sucks, but he's aware of that. So, maybe it's like, you know what? I'll just get out there for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Show and then be like, all right, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you get. We're done.
True. Yeah. Could be.
Yeah.
Could be. They always have the FA Cup in England, and there was a historic moment that happened over the weekend. A team called Maidstone, they are in the 6th tier of the of the leagues over in England. They pulled off a huge 2-1 victory over Ipswich, and it's the first team outside the top 5 tiers to advance to the FA Cup 5th round since 1978. You wouldn't believe the crowd. You wouldn't believe the party that went on in their local area. This was just David versus Goliath, massive upset, shocking result, and the partying looked pretty damn incredible. I kind of wish that I would have been there this weekend. That would have been fun.
It sounds like it would have been incredible, and it sounds like if you bet on that team, the returns would have been monumental.
Yeah, probably could have retired.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The other soccer note I want to mention is this Sunday, February 4th, Super Bowl Sunday, not Super Bowl Sunday, no, Pro Bowl Sunday. They will be announcing the match schedule for the 2026 World Cup that will take place here in Vancouver. It's a co-hosting between US, Canada, and Mexico. And yeah, stay tuned for next week. We'll make the announcement when the games will be coming here to Vancouver. I think we'll get at least a couple games, and the other games that will be in some of the other cities, we'll be able to make mention of it. And I plan to try to go see a bunch of games when it comes here in 2026.
Yeah, hopefully I can see a couple of the games. I think it's actually smart what they did, which was share the cost between all 3 countries, as opposed to one country just like shouldering the entire cost, which can be quite a bit of money. So yeah. I think it's smart on their part to do that.
Oh, I think you're right. It's brilliant. It's way too costly for one nation, and I don't think we should have just done it by ourselves if we could have. I think it's great that they are sharing it, and it'll be amazing to have it over here on North American soil. The games will be easier to watch because they'll be, in better time zones. There's been some World Cups where I had to wake up 5 a.m. and try to watch games, and it'll be nice to see that a lot of our local stadiums showcased. And yeah, I think the popularity of soccer will never be greater after we have the World Cup here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that for sure.
Yeah. I did want to mention the Australian Open in Melbourne just ended this weekend. The men's final had number 3 ranked Yannick Sinner, and he ended up beating number 4 ranked Daniil Medvedev in 5 sets. He won his first ever Grand Slam final. Medvedev had been in the final 3 of the last 4 years, but kept losing to Novak Djokovic, who Sinner ended up knocking out in the earlier rounds, and had a massive upset, but nobody expected him to be able to pull this off. Novak still set some records in the tournament for most wins in his career, but wasn't able to get into the final and win his 25th Grand Slam. And yeah, it was a phenomenal tournament down under. My family talks about it a lot. It just really takes over the city of Melbourne for a couple of weeks, and it's an amazing tournament to watch. And congratulations to Yannick Sinner for finally getting his first Grand Slam ever.
Yeah, no, and that's quite the accomplishment for him, because he had to beat the best to win that Grand Slam. So
yeah,
good for him.
Yeah, I talked to my sister, brother-in-law, and my niece and nephew, Lee and Evelyn, just over the weekend. They were finally finishing their, I shouldn't say finally, but they were finishing their holiday. They came here for 3 weeks. They went to Hawaii after that. They just had returned, spent about a week. My sister was going back to work today, and I guess it would have been Sunday because it's a day ahead, but went back to work today, first time in a month, and my niece and nephew tomorrow, I guess maybe today, went back to school for the first time in a while. And my brother-in-law, he's off till April, so he was able to watch he was able to watch the football, and him and I texted quite a bit during the football games. It was Monday. Everybody was out of the house, and he got to have the house to himself, watch the football. Sounded like he enjoyed it a lot, and it was pretty awesome to get those texts from him. Typically, he would be at work on a Monday like that, but he was able to watch the games, and it was great. He's become quite the football fan, and it's fun to talk to him while the games are going on.
Oh, that's cool. That's great that he's such a fan, and that you have somebody in the family that's also now passionate about the game as much as you are.
Yeah, it is great. Yeah, it makes me very happy. So, I do want to mention the golf this weekend. I mentioned Nick Dunlap last week. He was the amateur that won that tournament. First time since 1991 that an amateur had won a PGA tournament. He decided to go pro this week, and he will compete this coming week in his first ever tournament, and he'll be able to collect the paycheck. I mentioned that $1.5 million check. I didn't know what was going to happen to it. Actually, the guy in second place ended up getting that check, and so he was pretty excited and happy to get that. The win that Dunlap got actually gives him a two-year exemption on the PGA Tour, so he doesn't have to qualify. He gets to tee it up wherever he wants to, whenever he wants to. He also gets into the 8 limited field events where they have no cut. Every single player in the field gets a check, no matter how good or bad you shoot. And he also qualifies for 3 out of the 4 majors. And I think just that win himself, he didn't get that $1.5 million, but I think it's worth at least $2 million, this 2-year exemption for him. And he's off and running. He's going to play Pebble Beach this Thursday. Will be the first time he tees off as a pro. And I think he made a wise move. Capitalize on this 2-year exemption and get yourself going on your pro career. And I can't wait to see how he does.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, very smart, astute move on his part to capitalize on the win that he got.
Yeah. The PGA tournament that happened this weekend was down in San Diego. It was called the Farmers Insurance Open. This will be the last year for Farmers Insurance. They've decided to cut off their sponsorship funding money. Not enough stars for their liking, so they're done. This was in Torrey Pines in San Diego. They're looking for a title sponsor for next year. The guy that won, his name is Matthew Pavon. He's a French national, first win of his career. And I mentioned when we were talking last week that I think these guys that are sort of on the fringes and trying to win are getting wins because of so many guys have went to the Live Golf Tour, and you're not having to try to beat all these top guys anymore. Pavon came from France. We were watching him over the holidays. He had a really good couple rounds when they had a tournament in Hawaii. And I remember my brother-in-law asking my dad, who's a big golfing expert, asking him about, hey, how's French golf? I haven't really heard much French guys in the mix. And my dad knew a few of the French players, and I heard them talking about this Pavon guy, and I hadn't heard about him. And all of a sudden, boom, this week he emerges, wins the tournament, gets $1.5 million himself, and that 2-year exemption, and all the benefits that it's going to give to him. So it's still this move for Live is really helping a lot of these lesser known guys emerge and get their first victories, and be able to become established PGA pros.
Yeah, which I think it's good. I think it's good for like the competition. It's good that now there's just more golfers that you're aware of, more guys that are winning or able to win. Yeah, I think I think it's helping to grow the game, regardless.
Yeah, I love it. It's great. I'm excited, and I think it's helping in so many ways, and it is growing the game for sure. So, I do want to mention the NBA. They had Rivalry Week this past week. They had 11 nationally televised games over 4 networks. TNT, ESPN, ABC, and NBA TV had games from Tuesday all the way through Saturday. And I watched the majority of these games, and it was phenomenal. Very smart of the NBA to do this. Another great move. That in-season tournament was fun. This rivalry week was really great. And we don't get to see enough of these games that sort of mean something in the middle of the season like this. Did you get to catch many of the games yourself?
I think I caught some of the games, but the game that stood out to me the most was the Luka game.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was a rivalry game. But I want to say this: it did matter because there's being on fire, there's just being like acting like God, like that. He literally didn't miss.
Yeah.
He was 25 of 33. He took 33 shots and scored 73 points. It was one of the greatest offensive like explosions I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He was absolutely amazing. I loved it. He's so good.
Yeah.
He's so good.
I think Atlanta forgot to bring their defense. I think they forgot. I think they said, "Hey, okay, guys, let's play some all-star defense," and then went out there and did not figure out how to stop Luka. Embiid had scored 70 just a few nights before, and then Luka trumps them. And I don't know what the hell the Hawks were doing, but they really weren't figuring out how to stop him. And yeah, it was one of the worst defensive performances I've ever seen. I'm not going to take everything away from Luka, who's, an absolutely incredible talent, but come on, like the defense was really rough.
Yeah, no, there was many times where he drive down the lane and I'm like, oh, so nobody's gonna contest that? Perfect. Like if I'm Luka, I'm like, this is actually pretty easy. This is great. Like, but again though, he went 25 of 33, 15 of 16 from the line, 8 of 13 from three. He was scorching them. And so then when you do the comparison of, because Atlanta Hawks could have had Luka, they took Trae Young instead. It's like, I don't know. How's that looking for you?
No kidding. Yeah, isn't that shocking when you think about that? That draft day move. You're like, wow, incredible when you look back and back then I think probably a lot of people would have sided with Trae. Not knowing the European guy as much, right? So yeah, incredible. The games that stood out for me for sure were the Battle of New York, Knicks versus Nets. New York ended up winning in a tight game there. The Lakers Clippers, the LA bragging rights there. Clippers are really doing well, much to our chagrin. We weren't hoping that they would do this well with Harden and this crazy team that they've assembled, but they are on fire. Kawhi Leonard was phenomenal in that game, has looked really good this year. He looks fully healthy and has been playing amazing. I really like the Suns versus Mavs. I love the Thunder versus Spurs game, the two rookies of the year. I really watched a ton of those highlights. I didn't see the game live, but I watched the highlights and broke it down a lot. To see Chet Holmgren and Wembanyama against each other, that was fun. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, that was just two unicorns going at it. And just to see the level of development already from both of those guys, I'm amazed.
Yeah.
But I'm also excited because now we get to see these guys go head to head at each other for the rest of their careers.
Yeah.
You can definitely say that their careers are going to be intertwined because they're that good already and they're going to continue to keep getting better.
Yeah. I really enjoyed watching the Celtics versus the Heat. They showed a ton of highlights of that Eastern Conference Final rematch or Eastern Conference Final, and this is kind of a rematch of that. You and I went to the local bar and watched Jimmy freaking Butler make one of the best shots we've ever seen in our lives.
Yeah.
Win a game and dispatch the Celtics, and it was pretty cool to see the rivalry kind of renewed with those two teams against each other.
No, it's you know what? There's a lot of history between those two teams now, and it's always great to see those guys go up against each other.
The Warriors had two games in this rivalry. They had against the Kings, who they had a really fantastic playoff matchup against, and it was great to see Curry against Fox going at it. Harrison Barnes set a career high that night with 39 points against his former team, and unfortunately, Steph Curry had the ball in his hand, only down one, and ended up losing the dribble as he was getting ready to get up for a shot, and they lost 134 to 133. That was heartbreaking for a Warriors fan like me, and for this team who's been struggling pretty bad this year. They're down in 12th place in the standings and not doing well. The final game of this entire rivalry week was Saturday night, late night. The Lakers and Warriors played, and it was LeBron against Steph. Steph had 46 that night. LeBron's numbers were 36, 20, and 12. And the game ended up 145, 144 in double overtime. One of the best games I've seen in years. Mano a mano, back and forth. Phenomenal to watch. The Warriors had another chance and messed up at the buzzer. And it was one of those epic back and forth games. And to see both these guys, 38, 39 years old against 35 years old. And they talked about so many of the matchups they've had against each other over the years, showed highlights, a lot of cool stuff. It was incredible to witness that game. And that was a pretty cool capper on that whole rivalry week.
Yeah, no, it was a great game to end it off with, and the fact that you see that ageless wonder still getting it done, and you're just like, oh, so you'll never suck. That's awesome. Like literally, I don't think he'll ever be bad.
Yeah.
He'll never have like a real decline where it's like his skills have just fallen off. It's just like, no, I'm always going to be good.
Yeah. There was supposed to be a great battle that night as well between the 76ers and the Nuggets, and Joel Embiid ended up sitting out. Was a scratch very late before the game, and they're actually the league is investigating the reason why he sat. They're saying that he might have broken the protocol rules and sat when he's not supposed to. They had put this game as a showcase to the networks, to this rivalry week, the two MVPs against each other. And I think it was maybe 15, 20 minutes before the game, they said, no, he's not playing. And it was a really big blow to the television network, everybody that was tuning in. And it was very disappointing. And we'll see what happens when they do an investigation, but they say that they didn't think he had any injury, but he has sat out the next game after that, I think maybe yesterday. And so maybe there isn't an injury there that's legit.
Well, if there isn't, they'll make it legit. You know what I mean? So, yeah, and they're trying to crack down on that, which is great for the NBA because their deal is coming up where they have to renegotiate with the network, so they have to do that. Yeah. But also too, at the other end of things for Joel Embiid, I guess he's not interested in winning the MVP this year, even though he's had one of the most incredible seasons ever in NBA history, because I think he can only miss maybe 4 or 5 more games. Wow. And then after that, he's not eligible to win the MVP anymore. So clearly it's not a concern for him.
I guess not. Yeah, we'll have to do the Embiid watch week after week and see. But yeah, probably he's not going to win it because likely he'll miss 4 more games out of an entire year.
Oh yeah, for sure. So yeah, okay, well, too bad.
Yeah. Just want to mention players of the week this week, as usual. I like to mention them. Eastern Conference Player of the Week is Giannis Antetokounmpo. led the Bucks to a 3-1 record, 29.5 points per game, 14.5 rebounds, 8.5 assists, 60% field goal shooting, 1.5 assists and 1.5 blocks per game. Great week for Giannis. The Western Conference Player of the Week was Devin Booker. Led the Suns to a 2-2 record, but scored 42 points per game, 5 rebounds, 63% field goal shooting, and 50% shooting from three. And this is his second win of the season as Player of the Week and 9th of his career, and had lit it up a few nights ago with 47. Yeah, he's playing pretty damn well. That team's having their difficulties keeping all three of their stars on the court at the same time, but Booker's looking great.
And I believe on the night that Luka scored 73, Booker scored 62 on that night as well.
Wow. Incredible.
Unfortunately, it was in a loss, but yeah, he scored 62 points.
Yeah. I think the night that Embiid scored 70, I think it was Karl Anthony Towns at 63 that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, unreal, hey? One last note in the world of baseball. James Paxton from Delta, BC has joined the LA Dodgers on a 1-year contract, getting to join Shohei Ohtani and all the amazing talent that they've assembled around there. It'd be great to cheer James on. One of my favorite pitchers in MLB history. He's had his ups and downs and has had some injury troubles over the last couple seasons, but good on him. Going to the World Series favorite LA Dodgers, getting to hang out with Shohei on a daily basis. Going to be pretty fun. Can't wait to talk to James about this experience this year. Hopefully he has a great bounce back year and is one of the catalysts and one of the starters all season. And getting to play with the unicorn will be incredible, and great for a BC kid to be still going at it. This is he's had a long career. As I said, a little bit of difficulties the last couple seasons, but I think from what I hear, he's fully healthy, ready to go, and should have a good showing this season.
Yeah, and plus on top of that, he's on the Dodgers, who just have like a never-ending fund of money just to buy players. So they're looking like favorites to like go all the way. Are they?
Yeah. Oh, they're definitely the odds-on favorites. Yeah, most people say, pretty much just name them World Series champions already. They've assembled an absolute super team.
Perfect. So with him joining the super team, he's just like, I guess I just don't have to do much. Just gotta show up.
Just give me a ring. Just give me a ring.
Yeah. I'll take the size now for this finger. All right, this one.
Yeah. Let's hope. Be great to see this BC boy do it. Yeah. Last thing I want to mention tonight is UFC. We've got a card coming up this Saturday. We've got Roman Dolidze against Nasruddin Imavov in the main event, a middleweight battle that should be great. I really like both these fighters, and I think this is going to be a heck of a battle.
No, I know. I think it's going to be great. Styles make fights, and these guys have two very unique styles of fighting. I'm looking forward to this fight. It's going to be a good one.
Dolidze's last fight, he did lose to Marvin Vettori in March of 23. He had a 4-fight win streak before that. All 3 of those 4 fights were performance of the night fights, so very, very exciting fighter. He was supposed to fight in November and December this past year. He was supposed to fight against Derek Brunson, who pulled out the week of the fight, and then he was supposed to fight Jared Cannonier, who suffered a torn ligament in his knee. And so he has been sort of chomping at the bit. He's only 12-2 in his MMA career. You might remember he's a bit infamous for testing positive for steroids right after he signed with the UFC. He got a 1-year suspension and had to clean himself up. But he's looked pretty solid since he's joined, or since he's been able to get back at the UFC. And yeah, I sort of am leaning a little towards him to take this title, or take this fight to here in the main event.
Yeah, I am leaning the other way.
Okay.
I think Imavov is going to cause him a lot of problems in the stand-up department.
Okay.
Huh.
Imavov's last fight was against Chris Curtis. They ended up having a no contest because they had a clash of heads. It opened up a big cut, and it was yeah, deemed a no contest, couldn't continue. He lost his previous fight to the former champion Sean Strickland. Had a 3-fight winning streak going into that one. And he's 12-4, 12-2 against 12-4. Yeah, very similar records, and I think it's going to be a heck of a battle. It should be a good fight. The co-main event has Renato Moicano against Drew Dober. I'm a big fan of Dober and have been for a really long time. He's had some tough losses, but when he fights, he is super powerful and has been able to get some very big wins. Big knockout win against Ricky Glenn in 23. He did lose to Matt Frivolo last year. But yeah, I love Drew Dober. Renato Moicano. He's a great fighter. He's won 2 out of his last 3. A good submission artist, and he was supposed to also fight later last year, but the fight got canceled. Arman Sarukian was supposed to be his opponent, but withdrew for some injury purposes. So what do you think about this one?
I think it's another great matchup. Drew Dober, the one thing about him is he's incredibly durable. And Moicano likes to go forward, likes to bring the fight. It's going to be a great fight, man. It's going to be, I think, very much an action-packed fight.
And the only other fight that I definitely wanted to mention was Randy Rude Boy Brown as fighting Muslim Salikov. Both great fighters. I think you're a big fan of Randy Brown being the Jamaican. Tell me about what he's going to bring to the fight.
I think he's going to try to definitely use his length against Salikov, but he's going to have to worry about Salikov's slick counters and those spinning attacks that he really loves to incorporate into his fights. He's going to have to watch out for those because Salikov, great counter puncher, great counter striker, period.
Right. He did, let's see, he won his last fight against Wellington Sherman, won by unanimous decision last. These guys were supposed to fight December 16th, 2023. Randy had an illness that caused this fight to get postponed. Luckily, they're able to put this back together. And let's see, last fight for Salikov was he's coming in 5-fight win streak, 3 decisions and a couple of knockouts, and yeah, he's had some really good performance of the nights. I'm always impressed with him, but yeah, hopefully Randy uses his length and can keep this fight standing. I think it'll be a hell of a battle.
No, I think it's going to be a great fight. Yeah, all 3 of these fights going to be great, fantastic fights, good matchmaking.
Yeah, the prelims have Molly Meatball McCann, who's always super fun to watch. She's in the featured fight on the prelims. Those kick off at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 o'clock Eastern. The main card, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, there's a lot of great matchups, and it should be one good fight night.
Oh, no, it's going to be good fight night. It's going to be great. Looking forward to it.
Tons of rumors today that the UFC 300 is actually going to feature Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler. I don't know if that's true or not, but tons of talk today that that's going to be the main event. I don't know if they can pull that together in time. They were talking about June or something, both them, but today all of a sudden, splash! I saw UFC 300, Connor. So yeah, that would be incredible if it was that soon. And I know they wanted to have some huge, very, very splashy fights. I've mentioned some of the fights that are already talked about being on that card, but obviously that would put this one over the top. And I'm not sure, if these are just rumors. This is actually going to happen. But what did you think when you heard it, either from me or others?
Well, I think I might have heard it from Connor himself, saying that this is what I want to do and everything else. And I'm like, okay, so you just want to be relevant? You just keeping yourself in the news? It's just a news cycle thing, or you
Yeah,
actually want to fight again? Because sometimes with him, are you super motivated to fight? You're worth like close to $500 million. You made it. You're good.
yeah,
And also too, he's lost, I believe, 4 of his last 5 fights, or 5 of his last 6. So, if he doesn't actually start winning fights, why do I want to keep watching you?
true.
You're not showing the capacity that you can actually win these fights against the upper echelon guys anymore. So, uh, hopefully it happens. He's still a big name, still a huge draw. Other people want to fight him because they can make a ton of money. But at the same time, for me personally, I am getting less and less interested because he just hasn't proven that he has the ability to keep winning
Yeah,
anymore.
true. The last thing I want to mention is the UFC pulled off a big coup this week. They were able to sign Kayla Harrison from the PFL. She has been their champion there for years. She has won the tournament 2 years in a row, got the $1 million bonus, and one of the pillars of the PFL, one of the ones that they hang their hat on with her and really market. She has been in negotiations with the PFL, and I guess when her management team looked at the contract, they realized that there was both a amount of fights on the contract as well as a date that ended, and she was able to get out of her contract before her last fight that she was supposed to fight on it. The UFC stepped up and given her a bigger contract, more money, and a little more stability, and possibly not knowing with this PFL, Bellator, and all that kind of stuff. So huge coup for the UFC. It's going to be interesting. I don't know how she's going to make the 135 weight class because I actually heard her do an interview, and she said to make 135, I'd have to cut off both my legs. And so she's not going to do very well if she cuts off both her legs. So I don't know. They don't have any higher weight class for women. So I don't know how she's gonna fit into the UFC and who she's gonna fight. But if she's able to get down to 135, I think she's gonna be able to challenge for the belt very soon. It might be Amanda Nunes coming out of retirement to fight her, or she might fight Raquel Pennington, Juliana Pena winner, or somebody like that. But highly respected, somebody that's been training with Ronda Rousey since Ronda first got into the game. Judo champion, incredible fighter. Seen her fight many, many times, and this is huge for the women's game. And I don't know, she's so massive, so muscular. I don't know how she's going to get down to 135, but I guess she thinks she can if she's willing to sign on the dotted line and move over.
But didn't Nunes have the 145 belt at one point in time? She was double champ, wasn't she?
She was double champ, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
so how about this? I think then the UFC, if they're willing to sign her,
Yeah.
and if she, let's say this, and she can't make 135, she tries and almost kills herself and she can't make it,
Yeah.
then I guess they'll just create a division for her.
I guess they'll have to, yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
have to,
Yeah.
especially if they've invested all this money into her already.
Yeah.
Then that means they're willing to do that for her.
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
too, they're willing to do that because they want
Makes
to
sense.
steal her away from the PFL. So,
Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, so we'll see. But yeah, look forward to a lot more things coming out of the UFC. It should be a fun fight night, and this was another great podcast. We covered a ton of stuff. And yeah, we got some all-star games to check out this weekend, skills competitions, and the UFC should be another fun weekend of the world of sports.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. And then just basketball too during the course of this week. Awesome.
Enjoy the film catering and have a great week eating like a champion again. And come on over to our show. Hurry up, get over. We need you. We need you.
Hey, if I can, I will for sure. Mention it to Lori again. Mention
Okay.
it.
All right,
All right.
will do. I'll let you know what she says. I'll mention it tomorrow, and have a good night, man. Get some good sleep. I'm sure you need it. Hard to work throughout the whole weekend, getting at it. So yeah, keep in touch, and we'll talk soon.
All right, you betcha. Take it
Okay.
easy.
Cheers, man. Good night.
Good night.
All right. That was another episode of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I want to thank everyone for tuning in and keeping it going, and yeah, giving us so much support. I want to thank our partners and sponsors. I want to mention Anchor.fm, easiest place to make a podcast. Just go to Anchor and you can do what Jason and I just did here. It's a lot of fun. You'll love it. I highly recommend it. Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company, an industry leader in technology, performance, and value, and the V350 stick is a must-have for anyone in your midst. Pampas and Possibilities, great at creating West Coast pretty things for your home. Get them in, spruce it up. Man, it looks incredible. I'm looking at Pampas right behind this camera right now, and I love it. And last but not least, Forever Living, the aloe vera company for health and beauty products. Fantastic. You can find them on our website, get them at discounted rates, and we highly recommend them there. So love you guys lots. Take care of yourself. Have a fantastic week ahead. Enjoy the sports, and we will talk to you soon. Bye for now.